welcome back to Remap Sports and Sports Adjacent Podcast. It sets out to disprove the notion that people with lives dedicated to pixels jumping across the screen, for me, I guess sometimes it's a frog hopping across the screen, can't also be unhealthily interested in what nerds condescendingly refer to as sports ball. Every Super Bowl, Rob, every podcast I start off with a question, and this one is an email from Dylan. Cue the chorus. Now that the Bears have a direct line to God, is there hope?
That's a great question. Didn't I see, though, J.D. Vance presenting the new Pope with a Bears jersey?
No. That's AI. It didn't happen. I don't know. I'm choosing to believe any example other than what you're putting out. Really?
I'm just saying. I don't know if there might be some interference on the direct line to God.
Shit. Did you see the mass they held at the White Sox stadium?
No.
You've got to find. I don't have a clip in front. If you just please search for it right now. But essentially, he was not present. I believe the Pope, the new deep dish Pope, sent a video message to address the crowd. But they did a whole ass. They come out through the dugout area where the baseball players come through.
Oh my god!
With the smoke and everything, and then.
Yeah, this is incredible.
You're right. So now, okay, here's the question. It says a Chicago Bears jersey. What player? Oh, it probably said Pope Leo, right? It probably wasn't.
No, they probably didn't give him 30.
I'm looking right now. The thumbnail here from WGN says Pope Leo. I was like, well, okay, and at least I'm casually interested in what player.
Yeah,
J.D. Vance might choose as
because he wouldn't know a player, so he just did yeah.
God damn it!
So what did he do? Number 14, Leo. Is that? Oh, now I need to see this J.D. Vance.
Yeah, here it is. This is the the number. I think it corresponds to his Pope numerals is the way it worked.
That'd be my assumption.
This sucks. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, this really this taints the question. This taints the jokes around all of this. Upsetting.
Oh man, yeah, this is whack. I'm trying to make out. It might be they put Roman numerals on that jersey, which is extra lame. It doesn't even the bit doesn't even work.
I mean, if you're gonna do your best to lean into conservative politics, just make it like an Urlacher jersey, right? He's already a Cutler jersey. You can see Bears, conservatism, being divorced. All the things celebrated by the right-leaning ex-Chicago Bears that previously were in our life.
Yeah, well, this is too bad. And
it is.
Also,
it really...
Pope Leo should have stayed with the program of ghost. Well, I mean, Francis kind of literally ghosted J.D. Vance, but I think Leo 14 also should have kept up with that tradition.
God. Well, I probably saw this when it happened and then just sort of deleted it from my memory, but you've brought it back. So I guess that's it then. I guess we're actually not getting any additional help because of that connection, which is unfortunate.
Possibly the opposite.
Possibly. Well, at least we stuck in the sewer. Does it smell any different? We're still here. You're still here in familiar place, but I know this is not HOA, and HOA is normally a subscriber-only pod. Sign up at remapradio.com/sign up. But I'd be remiss, given that the way our pods have bounced around due to scheduling recently, we have not had a chance to chat at least a little bit about the fact that you seem to have found a home, but where you left us off was, well, I need a walkthrough to go well, I need some analysis to go well, and then I need paperwork to go through. So I feel like you would have told me instead of just dropping this on the podcast if something had gone terribly wrong. And so I'm choosing to believe by setting this up for the podcast.
What a hell of a twist that would be in the sports podcast is hey, my dream house burned down in between the last HOA recording and today.
Well, burnt down could be a metaphorical, right? It could be
It's true.
We found a catastrophic problem in the plumbing that like we cannot address with the owners, and we're deciding to not go forward with the purchase, and now we're about to burn an enormous check of money that we can't get back because we said we'd buy the house, and now we're choosing to not buy the house. But I presume that's not where we're at the moment, Rob.
No, we are now in the most vulnerable stage. A very large check just went out to sign the purchase and sale agreement, but we will be closing later this summer.
Right.
And so now,
why is there such a long gap in between? I mean, I know that gaps can be different based on the setup for the. I forget genuinely how far the gap was in between when I did things with my house. I can't remember.
Yeah, so the main thing is like the sellers were pretty flexible. It's interesting. They did not want the offer to be contingent. So if you've been through the song and dance before, if you already own like a starter home, which is increasingly sort of a like we were in our starter home at age like 35 and lived there for like 8 years. But if you're in your starter home, not a ton of us have like a lot of cash just floating around that we can use to make the down payment on a more permanent home or bigger home. And so a lot of us, quite reasonably, would prefer to sell our current home and then use the proceeds from that sale to be the down payment on the home you want.
Just like similar to if you've like, when you rent and like, especially if you're have no money, like in your early 20s, moved to the city or something like that, or whatever, like scraping together even in a more reasonably priced area, first month, last month, security deposit. Oh, I've budgeted out that I could pay the monthly payments for this. Oh, I forgot about that. They're going to ask for 3x that up front for the right to continue to do monthly payments. And that is one of the, I think when I moved to my second apartment in San Francisco, it was like one of the times where I had to call my parents and be like, like, I'll give you this money back in a month. I need like a temporary loan because I wasn't prepared. Like our first apartment didn't require all of those, but the second one did. And I was like, I did not budget for this.
Yeah. And so a lot of people do a contingent, a contingent purchase where we will buy your home, but this sale will be contingent on us selling our current home. Are you good with that? And a lot of sellers will not be good with that because it's just it complicates things, and they don't want to deal with that. And also, it I don't know, it just makes them feel a little iffier about your ability to close the sale.
Also, nature of what's the competition in the market, right? Yeah. Like it is one of those, a card that is played by the buyer, not the seller. And it's a matter of whose hand is weakest in which, we'll do contingent because it brings them a little more security, but it brings us less security. You know what I mean? So it's like it's the nature of the what are you holding at the time and sort of the nature of the market that you're buying or selling in.
The funny thing about this, though, is even though they didn't want the transaction to be contingent, they wanted to see that we could be approved for the mortgage without like the proceeds of the sale of our condo. They were happy to be like, but you can sell your condo. Like we can close later in the summer. Like take a couple months and sell your place.
So you got a soft contingent, which is like we're not going to formally put it in writing, but like
we have a deadline.
Tell you right
one way or another. We are purchasing this home by like mid-August.
Right.
If listing our condo goes well, we could be.
You could be in between.
Yeah.
In theory. Like there's a maybe unlikely, but like there's a world where you're living out of an Airbnb or a hotel for 2 weeks while stuff sits in storage.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where we're at. We're in the process of like listing our condo, and there's still a bunch of stuff where the real thing. So the way I was putting it the other day, it sort of hit me what this all feels like. It is like my entire life feels like the morning before a long flight. Like everything in my life feels like, shit, though. Like I'm going to be got to get to the airport, and
we got to be clear. You have described this before as like, and let's take the metaphor, like the comparison out of it. Like
that is my hellish limbo.
You like what you're describing as what your life feels like is something that gives you enormous anxiety when it is just a flight the next day that you have.
It's
to
not just anxiety, but it's like almost like an inability to like focus on anything, because I'll be starting like, damn, I can't really get into what's the point of like getting into this book? I can just read a few pages, but I'll be on I shouldn't watch the show because I gotta like leave for the airport in like a couple hours. And so the whole day sort of fritters away in that feeling, and that's what all of life feels like. But now there is something to it where, after we just finished sort of, we kind of summoned this house by remodeling our condo a little bit. And so we still never finished like moving fully back into the condo after all the renovations finished, right? We still hadn't like, there were still some furniture items we were going to buy. There was still a bunch of stuff we were going to do to like sort of fully move back in, nest back in, and get stuff out of the boxes and the piles that we formed just to move it out of the way of the guys who were working here. And now we're just like, fuck it. Well, that's never happening. We're never doing that. And
that's awfully convenient for you, though.
Kind of. But
I can just unburden myself. But
it still has to go somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's all this shit now that we just have to get out of here so that we can get this place into shape for showing it. And, it's going to be inconvenient. There's no way. I work from home. We have 2 very rowdy poodles. We're going to have
how
to
are
get
you
out
going to
of this
stage
place.
it? We've talked we've talked again. We'll close the loop on this and then do an HOA on this in the next week or two. But we've talked about the notion of staging and how when we've like done, whether it's through a stream or on the podcast talking about different listings, is you've been essentially on this journey for like 5-ish years trying to figure out some way into a home. Is like oftentimes I go to a home, and if I'm summarizing this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, like go into a home and I have to look past the staging to discover what I actually like about the home, because I'm so off put by the generic way that houses are staged these days, which are to like minimize anybody walking into a place and being unable to picture a version of themselves in it, but which strips all of the character and warmth of a place in the process. So that makes me wonder, where have you arrived, at least at this stage in the process, over like what you've been told and what you want to do with your place as you figure out.
So you've hit on the first real like kind of disagreement between us and our realtor, which is they're like, so you should just paint. You got a very lovely like shade of like neutral gray in your living room. You should just bring it up through the house. And
all the stuff you just painted.
Yeah. And there's kind of 2 elements to that. One is like, buddy, I'm not like, again, I have to keep working here and living here. Like, we are not like repainting, like, fuck that. Like, I'm not, and also like, how much is this going to move the needle on the sales price, right? Like, at this point, is it going to meaningfully change what the house sells for? Or is it going to change the rate at which it sells? Because we have some wiggle room in the schedule.
Right.
So if I'm like investing a ton of time and money and inconvenience into painting it just to like stage it, that might just end up meaning that we clear less on the sale. That might just be kind of a wash. The other thing is that like my realtor, and obviously they're the expert in like selling these places. They they do this for a living, but my instinct here is that we chose these colors and we sort of have the aesthetic of this apartment kind of tuned because we lived here for 8 years. And we know that with the oddities of it, the certain like like all the windows are on one side, parts of it don't really get much or any natural light. We've actually kind of figured out like this is the way you make it feel the best in terms of like space and sort of getting everything sort of play together. And so, like, on the one hand, I'm like, I am certain you're right that you generally get more interest from people who are sort of browsing on Zillow and like, oh, that looks cool, whatever. But I'm sitting here being like, but once you are in the space, if this thing is painted like a light neutral, it's going to feel cheap. It's going to feel institutional. And what we kind of did was we figured out that like, oh, this is how you're going to make it feel like homey, kind of like luxurious. It's and actually like more spacious. Like when we did all this paint stuff, one of the things that we were consistently taken aback by is that, so often you hear, oh, things look really light and airy and roomy with like light colors. That is not true though. Like it really depends. Like the combination of like how do you light a space and then what is the color and reflectivity of the paint you're using. That really changes how low your ceiling feels, how close the walls feel. And so like some of the like conventional wisdom here, I'm just like, I am sure this advice is true for like 90% of home transactions, right? But I'm telling you, I've lived here for 8 years, and there's some
I
things
could have seen this
to
coming. I
mask.
could have seen this coming from a mile away. I was hoping this is where it would go. As soon as you did all that work, I was like, oh man, if he sells that place, he's going to get in a fight with his realtor over how to stage it. So what does that mean?
Honestly, I think the thing that clinches it is we're not like there's no like I can't already. It's going to be hard enough for us to clear ourselves and the poodles out of here just to like walk people through.
Right.
We're not repainting this place. Like it's just not happening. If the thing doesn't, if we don't get any interest in like 2 weeks,
then you'll think about pulling a
yeah,
big
fuck
switch.
it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that's gonna happen. 2 units on our floor sold. One was on the market for a week and sold for more than what we were asking, and is substantially less nice. And then 1 unit never even made to market. Like it was sort of snagged before it listed.
Okay. I think you're on pretty firm ground then. I think like giving yourself a 2-week rule, like that makes sense to me.
The funny part of this is, like, I told you about my beautiful nautical brass fixtures, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's been a minute. Like those went in.
MK's
I
like
wanna
that shit's coming off the wall. It's coming with us.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
She's like we're not leaving the ship lights for those. Do not come with the apartment.
Oh, so you need you want to swap them before someone looks at it, and then
No. You can look at the apartment. You imagine you can see it with all our beautiful brass fixtures, and then when you buy it, you will see empty spaces where you can put other fixtures, but our beautiful brass fixtures will not be there.
That's very funny. I mean, some of that stuff happens with the projector we have in our house was, famously left behind. Or they asked, like, do you want us to remove it and patch everything? And no. If you're offering to just leave a crude AV system that I'll replace, and leave the screen up.
The place we were buying was like, hey, we're happy to throw in a pretty nice gas grill and a bunch of like nice lawn furniture, and we were like, "Fuck yeah!"
Well, you can always
and then they were like,
"You can always
no."
throw it out. Oh, they took it back.
They were like, really? We kind of want the grill and the nice lawn furniture.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
you can't do that. You can't do that.
It was somewhere in there. They were like, on second thought, we are not going to put that's going to join the exclusion list and not the inclusions list.
Was that in writing? Is this like in an email, or was this?
Oh yeah, you go back and forth. Like there's 2 teams of lawyers on this.
Well, I just love the idea that that's written in. It's one thing, like it's easy for me to imagine, like in the moment. So I guess if you never bought and sold a place, you basically like aren't interacting with the other people often. Like I had, other than like waving briefly to say hello as they took their dog out, and like ushered one of their kids away. Like we did not have any interaction with the people we were buying the house from, which is pretty normal. Which is why I asked. Like I can imagine, like, oh, we're sitting and riffing. It's like, oh, well, maybe you guys could have that. Shoot, you know what? I actually want that, and that's like a normal dynamic to have. But the idea that like in writing was like undo, like Control C, like that would not like don't want to give that up is so funny.
I mean, it's super detailed. Like everything's gonna be left on the premises and everything. Like we're doing the same thing. Like. Also, it's a way to pump up what you're sort of throwing in there. Like, you're not just getting a condo if you buy from us. You're getting the top of the line Bosch dishwasher, which I'm gonna miss like mad. Like I'm actually pissed to leave that thing. I think I think the new place is gonna have a nice dishwasher too, but I don't think it's like the latest top trim.
Well, no,
level.
probably not. No, I would assume not nearly as nice as when you have to replace it.
So yeah, like this stuff, you do sort of itemize it, and yeah, I was kind of bummed because it was like day one. I was like, I'm gonna be grilling out on day one, and now day one, I'm gonna be like, all right, I need to look up good gas grills.
I'm due for one. Like a squirrel finally nibbled away at the little like rubber that gets to like where you start for the igniter, and I can still start the gas and like from the side. There's like often a hole on the side of them where you could like just shove in something, and I can do that. That's less fun, though. Like, I've had this 8 years. I could probably purchase a new grill at this point. But, well, we will leave the rest of that for a proper episode of HOA, which is a subscriber-only podcast over Remap. And so if you want to hear a podcast that Rob and I recorded a year-ish ago when Rob thought he was going to get this house and then definitely did not get this house, and then now seems to be getting the house, you can go sign up for that and listen over at ReMapRadio.com/sign up. But that has been our HOA minute before we get into a long overdue sports. We have not done one of these since like mid-April.
We had a bit of sports talk on the website where we're talking about that week, what should the Knicks do with Tibbs?
That's true. And then I think we were recording Remap Radio where we were doing a stream and the Knicks did fire Tibbs and actually have not hired a coach since.